Let me tell you something. NASCAR, you need to stop it with these fantastic finishes, alright? Because I have high blood pressure in my family. This is not good for my health. My blood pressure keeps rising every single time this happens. So can you please, for the love of God, stop it? But in all seriousness, holy crap, what a finish that was to a surprisingly great race. Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jack Krause and welcome back to the episode of MDK Victory Stop. The 2020 Firekeepers Casino 400 from the Michigan International Speedway just wrapped up. Kevin Harvick back to victory lane once again for I think the fifth or sixth time this season. Oh lordy lord, but it was a great race that followed suit with a fantastic and drama-filled finish. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. So the race started off with Logano, Hamlin, and Aric Almirola, the top three. Logano would lead for a bit in the early stages of this race. Well, after the competition caution, he fell back. That would be the last time we would ever see Logano anywhere near the top five. But this was also, remember, the first time we would see the choose cone in action at a points-paying race. And my goodness, did the choose cone play a huge factor in upping the drama in this race today. I gotta give credit with NASCAR. I mean, it's a gimmick, let's be honest. It is a gimmick, and I do not like gimmicks, but this is one I can for sure get behind. This choose cone, great idea by NASCAR. Now, very quickly, right after that competition caution, we would see the top drivers beginning to take over. Logano fell back to second. Hamlin was the race leader. Well, Kevin Harvick, who started, I believe, in the fifth or sixth spot, was able to use that momentum to then get by Logano on a restart, and then was able to use that momentum to get by Hamlin with 18 to go in stage one. Then a very scary moment happened in this race between Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. Logano was starting to drift back heavily in this race. His car just was too loose, and him and Kyle Busch had a bit of a moment off of turn two. It looked like Kyle Busch just barely touched Logano. Logano somehow did not wreck the race car. He lost it a bit, but did not hit the wall, and if so, very little contact, but was able to keep the car going. I was very surprised to see that, and that was really all that happened in stage one. Kevin Harvick go on to win that stage. Denny Hamlin in second. Third place is Ryan Blaney. Fourth, Kurt Busch. Fifth, Keselowski. Sixth, Erik Jones. He had a pretty good car in this race today. We all know what's going on with Erik Jones, him being released from Joe Gibbs Racing at the end of the season. He put on quite a show, or at least he put on the best that he could at his home track in Michigan. Sixth place effort for him in stage one. Seventh is Alex Bowman. Eighth is Chase Elliott. Ninth is Kyle Busch. And 10th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. On to stage two, and this is when we would see the choose cone first come into play. Brad Keselowski would go from third to second on the restart. Clint Bowyer, though, was a driver that picked up a ton of positions, started ninth before the choose cone, and entered out fifth on the restart. And on that restart in stage two, you had new drivers in the mix, followed with a surplus of three wide passes during the middle of the pack. You had drivers like Bubba Wallace and Clint Bowyer up near towards the top 10. It looked like every stage was a new batch of drivers in the mix or in the top 10. It was very interesting. It looked like every stage was its own race, and I think that's what made this race really fun to watch. And you even had Erik Jones, again, like I said, he had a really good car in this race today. He was even up there battling Kevin Harvick for second place, which, if you look at how, I want to say bad, Erik Jones has not been good these past few weeks, specifically last weekend at New Hampshire. He was just dreadful. This was a surprise to see a new fresh face, a driver that has been in a slump these past few weeks, actually go out there and be competitive. But up front, Ryan Blaney, remember, he was up near the top five after he took the fresh tires on the competition caution. He was able to get a great run off of turn four and was able to use that momentum to take the lead from Denny Hamlin entering turn one. He's a bit of a fake block, or at least took advantage of Hamlin's bad block, I should say, to be able to take the lead. Now, in the meantime, when this is going on, Kevin Harvick, he was able to chase down and pass Denny Hamlin, and then we would see this battle between Blaney and Harvick. And Harvick was in second place, Blaney was the race leader, and it was typical racing that you would see with this aero package. Go where the leader's not. If Blaney's to the bottom, Harvick, you go up top. If Blaney's up top, Harvick, you go down low. That was basically what we saw during that battle between Harvick and Blaney. Harvick was able to get a run off at the corner, down the front straightaway and down the back straightaway, but he would then stall off due to that little bubble of air that separates the two cars because of this giant ass spoiler. So Harvick, he had to find different ways to get runs and to not have his momentum stalled by Blaney. Well, he was able to do just that with 8 laps to go in stage 2. Harvick running the high line in turn 1 gets a great drive off the corner and uses the 15 of Brendan Poole actually as a pick to get side by side with Blaney and would take the lead from Blaney entering turns 3 and 4. And Harvick would just go on to sweep stage 1 and stage 2. It seems like in 2020, whenever stage 3 comes in, this is when everything just goes off the rails, and Michigan was another example of that. 1 lap into stage 3, our first real caution comes out off of turn 4. Chris Buescher, who slid up right into Jonathan Nemechek. It looked like he wasn't even trying to get away from Nemechek's left rear corner panel, just turns him. Nemechek spins through the grass and brings out the caution. In the meantime, though, Mark Truex Jr. gets the free pass. The reason why I say this was because all the way back near the beginning of the race, I want to say 10 laps into the race, him and Tyler Reddick made very slight contact. Don't know when, the TV people, they don't show where it takes place, but they made contact bad enough to cut Mark Truex Jr.'s right front tire. Reddick also had to come out of pit road a lap later due to, he said something about, quote, something breaking in the car. So it was slight contact, but it was still big enough to cause both drivers to go onto pit road, trapped both of them a lap down, but luckily they would be able to recover. So with 58 laps to go in this race, so really the start of stage 3, you have another batch of drivers now in the mix. Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Christopher Bell. That's right, Christopher Bell, a driver we haven't talked about all race long. You guys know the story with him, LFR being sold to someone else at the end of the season. Bell more than likely going to be replacing Eric Jones at JGR, but he still has 2020 to finish, and he looked like he might be a contender for a top 10 during the stage 3 portion of the race. Like I said, he was in the top 10 with Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. Busch is a driver that was around the top 5, top 7, I should say, but it was really around here was when we saw Kyle Busch be a race-winning contender. 7 laps later, Jonathan Nemechek would bring out the caution once again by cutting a right rear tire. This set up pit stops, and on pit road, yet some drivers took no fuel, like teammates Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, and Mark Truex Jr., and then you had other drivers that took 2 tires. I believe Kevin Harvick was a driver that took 2. In fact, the first driver to pit for 4 tires was Brad Keselowski, all the way back in the 9th spot. And on that restart, Kevin Harvick just showed how good of a car he had. Even though Kyle Busch got out in front with the help from Eric Jones, his teammate, to get away from Harvick, Harvick was just too good and would take the lead once again from Kyle Busch. Not even 1 lap later. It was just like that. Not even 2 laps into it, and Harvick is already gone. But once again, for the 3rd time, Jonathan Nemechek brings out the caution again. This time it was a lot more severe. He had major damage to the back end of his race machine. Took it straight to the garage with 25 laps to go. But yeah, jumbled everyone up for another restart. You had drivers like Joe Logano and Ryan Blaney and a few others pit, so that sent them back way in the field. And with the choose cone, you had Chase Elliott that would move to 2nd place, bringing Keselowski and Hamlin with him on the inside lane. Now, Brad Keselowski, he almost risked his chance of winning that race. He gave Elliott a really good push to push Elliott to the lead, but then paid the cost. He fell like a rock to outside the top 10 on the back straightaway because he was not able to clear anyone on the outside lane and slide up to that outside lane. As a result of that, out you go. He fell back big time. But Chase Elliott will not be out of the woods just yet. 14 laps to go, another caution will come out, but this time it does not involve Nemechek. Tyler Reddick gets loose and hits the 37 car of Ryan Preece, who backs it into the outside wall. And this was tough because Ryan Preece, it looked like finally he might get a top 15 finish at least in this race, but more bad luck occurs for JTG Daugherty Racing, and specifically the 37 car. I feel bad though because Brad Daugherty was on the NBC broadcast for this race for the first time, and I thought it would be good to see his team actually have a good run in his debut with NBC, but fortunately, the racing gods had other ideas. So then when the restart comes out with 10 laps to go, Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott were side by side. Busch was unable to clear Chase Elliott off of turn 2, but Kevin Harvick got a tremendous run off of turn 2, was able to get by Elliott. It was able to then go after Kyle Busch for the race lead. In this moment, I don't know how Busch did not wreck this race car. Harvick gets into the left rear panel of Kyle Busch ever so slightly. Busch loses it, but does not hit the wall and keeps it going, loses a ton of momentum. But luckily, he would be saved with that caution coming out on the same lap, I believe, with 7 to go. Cole Custer crushed the back end of the wall in 3 and 4 and brings up the caution once again. Now, again, I don't know how Busch did not hit this wall. It looked like from how sideways Busch was, he lost it completely. At least that's what I thought. But no, was somehow able to keep thing off the wall and keep it going. And it was aero. It was aero push that got Busch sideways, but it was like ever so close. You could fit a nail, like a little fingernail, between the two cars from how little of a gap there was between the right front of Kevin Harvick's car and the left rear of Kyle Busch's car. But then you had a new contender coming up in this restart, Bubba Wallace. He would start 4th, and when that restart came out, he gave a good push to Hamlin, but then entering turn 1, he tried to make it 3 wide for the race lead. He went for it. Made it 3 wide, entering turn 1 and 2. Tried to make a stick, but did not work. He fell back, but you got to give him credit. He went for that race win. I love it, and everyone on social media loved that move as well. But once again, another caution would come out on that same lap. Christopher Bell got into ever so slightly to the back end of Austin Dillon's car. It looked like Bell just went up the hill, got into Dillon. Dillon tried to save it, but then he hits another car that sent Dillon into Ryan Newman to the outside wall and brings out the caution once again to set up NASCAR overtime. Now, setting up for that restart, Brad Keselowski will be the first to go to the inside lane with the choose cone rule, bringing him Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, and Jimmy Johnson. But this time, we would actually finish the race. Nothing severe would take place. The inside lane would, as usual, fall back like a rock. Not as bad as it was in the previous restarts, but still, they just could not get the momentum to keep up with Kevin Harvick, and Harvick will go on to win at Michigan for, I think, the 4th time in his career, I think the 3rd time in the past 4 races, and will score his 54th career Cup Series victory, tying him with Lee Petty on NASCAR's all-time win list. I'm going to read the race results, but you can see them on the right side of your screen. Kevin Harvick wins, Brad Keselowski in 2nd place. Like I said, it wasn't as bad as a restart compared to the previous ones. Keselowski was able to hold on for that 2nd spot, but drivers like Bubba Wallace and Jimmy Johnson, they weren't so lucky. 4th place is Ryan Newman. Truex, a nice rebound for him, I should say, from that being 1 lap down, getting that free pass back inside the top 3. 5th is Kyle Busch. Nice rebound for him after nearly wrecking the thing off of 4. 6th is Denny Hamlin. 7th is Chase Elliott. 8th is Joey Logano. 9th is Bubba Wallace. A great rebound for him. 10th is Kurt Busch. 11th is Eric Jones. 12th, Jimmy Johnson. 13th, Christopher Bell. 14th, William Byron, and Matt DiBenedetto rounds out the top 15. 16th is Eric Almirola. 17th, Matt Kenseth. 18th, Tyler Reddick. Clint Boyer 19th with fellow Ford Chris Buescher in 20th. And here's some other notables that you might want to know. Alex Bowman in the 21st spot. Ryan Newman 28th. Actually, Daniel Suarez top 24 finish. I know one driver is very, very happy about that. How about Daniel Suarez top 24? I will say, credit to Daniel Suarez in the 24th spot. I know one guy is so happy from where he finished. Good run for him in that race team. 28th is Ryan Newman. 31st is Austin Dillon. 32nd is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I don't know what happened with him because he was usually around the top 12 that entire race, I should say. And I don't know how he got back to 32nd, but he did. Cole Custer 34th. John Nemechek 36th. And yeah, so wow, what would I give this race? This was an 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. This was a very fun race. I was not expecting that for a race like Michigan. We know Michigan, specifically with this package, and as of recent years, Michigan has not been the most fun racetrack, but I will say this was the first time I think in quite a while that I've seen a Michigan race be interesting from start to finish. Now, as for the playoff standings, here's a picture of it right now. Look at this. William Byron now has just a 16 gap with Eric Jones, who now moves up into the 17th position. Tyler Reddick, 19 points behind. Jimmy Johnson, 22 points behind. And Bubba Wallace, 123 points behind. So that final playoff bubble, it is heating up ever so closely as we head on to the final, I think, 5 races in NASCAR's playoffs. So now let's take a look at the starting grid for tomorrow's Consumers Energy 400. I'm going to read off my phone once again, but remember the top 20 inverted, the 20 1st through 39 are also inverted. The driver that finished 20th, Chris Buescher. Yes, that's right, Buescher. He will now start on the pole for tomorrow's race. Clint Boyer in 2nd. Row 2 will have Tyler Reddick and Matt Kenseth. Row 3 will have Eric Almirola and fellow Ford Matt DiBenedetto. Row 4 would have William Byron and Christopher Bell. Row 5 would have Jimmy Johnson and Eric Jones. Row 6 will have Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace. Row 7, Joe Logano, Chase Elliott. Row 8, teammates Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Row 9, Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. And row 10, Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. And then you can see rows 11 through 19 or 11 through 20 on your screen. But like I said, I had fun with this race. In my opinion, I might go as far as to say one of the best Michigan races I think I've seen. What I've seen. It was the first Michigan race that I've seen that was actually interesting and fun to watch from start to finish. Usually in past Michigan years, at least from what I've seen, the last 20 laps might be interesting if a restart comes out, or a final restart comes out. I look at 2017 between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, things like that. But this was a race that was fun from the drop of the green flag to the checkered flag. So, good job, NASCAR. But yeah, I'm very excited for this race, and congratulations to Kevin Harvick. But now, tell me what your guys' thoughts on this race in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win the Consumers Energy 400? I think it's going to be the Fords once again. I got Harvick going back to back, but that's just my opinion. What are your guys' thoughts on that? But until next time, my name is Jack Krause from MDK, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.